Why is Rick Hatchett the way he is? I'm George Edelman from MovieWeb, and in 6 minutes today, we're diving deep into Rick's backstory, and we're uncovering what truly defines him in The White Lotus Season 3. So Rick Hatchett is a man full of pain, and we learn that this is a result of his father's murder. When we meet Rick Hatchett as a guest at the White Lotus, Thailand, he stands in stark contrast to his far younger and desperately, hopelessly romantic girlfriend, Chelsea. And this is a really funny dynamic between the two of them because she loves horoscopes and he is just full of grouchy, monosyllabic grunts in his middle-aged man broodiness. He's just a guy of very few words, and most of them are curt retorts. He's consumed with something, and we don't really know what it is when we first meet him. He moves between being a funny foil to the bubbly young Chelsea and a dark menace with a cloud hanging over everything he says and does. It's a hotel built around a wellness plan for each guest, and Chelsea signs Rick up for meditation therapy, where we slowly get a little bit more about who he is and why he is this way. He sees himself as an empty vessel. He says he's nothing. He says nothing comes from nothing. I have never had an identity. These are his exact quotes. And Rick is a classic existential character in an existential crisis, and he has been his entire life. He is defined by hatred, anger, and a desire for vengeance. His father was murdered and his mother died. Rick has an axe to grind. So we learn over the course of the middle episodes that what's motivating Rick is this personal lifelong issue. On her deathbed, his mother told him the identity of his father's killer, the man who murdered his father and robbed Rick of any kind of life. And it's got a bit of a fairy tale feeling, right? Because this do-gooder father he had apparently was killed by some crazy land developer in Thailand who would stop at nothing to take over as much of it as he could. And these are all the themes that work strong within all the White Lotus seasons, is this kind of Western domination of beautiful locations for the benefit of the very rich and tourism. So Rick kind of embodies in himself this struggle, this anger built and resentment built over this exact issue. So Rick is hot on the trail of this man who murdered his father, and he's planning something, but we don't exactly know what. Chelsea is super concerned about it. She does not want Rick to follow through on his plans to confront this person. She does not want Rick to get into trouble because she actually loves him. We can tell Rick's a little torn inside too, because he seems to love Chelsea as angry as she makes him. There is, in her own words, a yin and yang between the two of them. This guy ruined my life from day one. These are Rick's exact words. And Chelsea references The Princess Bride and the classic "you killed my father, prepare to die" scene. Rick doesn't actually know what he's gonna do. So he meets up with his friend, deeply troubled friend, played by Sam Rockwell, which gives us one of the great scenes in the entire White Lotus history, and maybe on television, where Sam and Rick catch up, and we get in Rick one of the great reaction shots memes of all time. Ultimately, Rick getting a gun from his friend brings us to the question, what is Rick gonna do with this weapon? What is he gonna do when he confronts this man? Will he get satisfaction? Does revenge and violence lead to some kind of resolution? These again are the themes of the entire season, and Rick embodies them. In an incredible sequence that involves some very good comedy and some heightened drama, Rick confronts the man who he believes killed his father. Now, this just happened on the show, and it's an explosive section where Rick finally comes out with it to this guy, and the guy clearly has no idea what he's talking about or who he is. But in the final moment, Rick can't do it. He can't shoot him, he can't hit him. All he can really do is push this guy over, because he's overtaken with maybe his true nature, some kind of compassion, or maybe pity, something he tries to describe in a later scene, and we can see it on his face. He doesn't want to continue the cycle of violence. And it's possible that all his work earlier in the season that he didn't want to do in the meditation landed somewhere, and he's showing some growth. Is it possible that there's a happy ending for Rick in all of this with Chelsea? Or is he, because he confronted the man and knocked him over, doomed now to suffer the consequences of those actions? There are also theories abound. Maybe the man is actually his father and not the man who killed him. We will find out in the finale, but one thing is for sure. Rick's combination of anger and frustration and desire for revenge with some kind of spiritual awakening, even if it's minor, related to Chelsea and the meditation expert, has created a character for the ages. Maybe Chelsea's love for him has cracked through the tough exterior. Maybe his work with the meditation guidance counselor has helped him recognize that violence and revenge will just continue the cycle. Rick defined himself with mercy and pity and some kind of clemency. So with one episode left to go, Rick's story is not finished, and we'll be fascinated to see how it all wraps up. I'm George Gentleman at MovieWeb. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe and comment. Let us know what you think's gonna happen to Rick in The White Lotus and whether or not you think the character really grew. Thanks so much for watching.